Hey, Fadz.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing this week?
Doing good, Fadz. How are you doing?
All good, all good. Our colleagues who are celebrating the Chinese New Year are taking a break this week, so I think they'll be back by Thursday or Friday.
Man, no Pete two weeks in a row.
That's got to be a first for since the beginning of time.
Yeah. So you guys are probably gonna get a lot more juicy details from Ben today without Pete, unless Piyush decides to be the mute master tonight.
Yeah.
He isn't in here, so don't give him any good ideas like that.
Look at that, Fadz. Already a question for you.
We are rolling out the marketing for Philippines and Indonesia already because we're waiting for iOS to be cleared, and we started doing Indonesia marketing in the first of this month. So we've started to build a community there. We have Misty, who is our social media or community manager, taking care of our Indonesian base. So you're bound to see quite a bit of Indonesian players coming starting from this week. I think the numbers are catching up with the Philippines as well, isn't it? So we took a look at our data. There's quite a bit of people coming in.
Yeah, they actually passed the Philippines.
Yeah, Ninja. The App Store doesn't update in real time, so it takes quite a bit of time for it to update. We've passed 10K a few weeks ago, and then only then, once I think they verify everything's okay, then they update on our App Store details.
How are we looking for active users currently, Fadz?
We're past 20 from where we were last time, but I think we need to do a bit of data crunching because we did quite a bit of cleaning up of the database for people who are doing multi accounts and botting. So it goes up and down depending on the number of people we ban or wipe, and then there's a crowd that's coming in. So we usually do the kind of cleaning up on a weekly basis. We'll release the official numbers through RFOX official channels. I don't want to have mixed signals with our site and their site.
Awesome.
All games submitted to strict control by Apple or just play tournament? It's all games actually, George. But the issue for us is since we have an additional step beyond just the signing up for an account, that's why I think we're being held up. But like I said, we're no longer waiting for Apple. We're rolling it out to all the different countries in Southeast Asia and then globally after that. So like I mentioned just now, Indonesia is next on the list already, and they already brought in quite a significant amount of players for us. It's a shame though. I think every time I speak to on a panel or podcast and stuff like that, everybody's keen on seeing the iOS version come out, but it's really not within our control, and I don't want to delay any longer. So we're rolling out all our marketing activities into all those different channels specific to those countries. What marketing is planned? Well, a lot of it is just based on us gathering the community and giving them incentives to play with them. So leaderboard challenges are there. What we want to do is lead them up to the path where they start to become collectors instead of just play to earners, right? So when they play the game, you have NFTs that they collect, and then when they collect a cube, they go into staking. So this is the path that we're leading them up to.
Good evening and happy Chinese New Year for those who celebrate it. Lars, you can't afford an. Oh, you quickly amended that. I was going to say an RFO 2020. You might be able to. When marketing is planned, have we got Piyush here?
That was for Fadz. Fadz answered that.
Staking announcement, Adelaire. I think we should be able to release the staking window announcements for special edition and game KOGs end of the month.
Benny, Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, wants list every crypto that can, according to American law, be lists on Coinbase. Mate, you had a few drinks, have you? Can RFOX legally be listed on Coinbase? And if so, RFOX apply to get listed on Coinbase. So we actually, from a regulatory perspective, we qualify for sure. We've actually also got registrations and bank accounts and everything in the United States, which is no mean feat for a crypto-based company. So technically we are eligible, yes.
Why do you
Oh, hang
release the staking amounts for special editions after the sale of the special edition packs to get those people who bought the packs to be included in the special editions staking window? Why would we leave them out?
Sorry, I also missed one. Hi, George74. Hi, can you tell us if NFT platform will be launched this month and if there will be some marketing campaign along that? Because judging by today's AMA, this product should rock the NFT world. Thanks. Yeah, it should for sure and certain, George, rock the NFT world. I'm not sure, did Piyush, did you say whether you were here or not? Because you might mute me.
I'm here, Benny, but no, I'm not going to.
Okay. All right. So I think, George, I can say to you that that's ready to roll. So I think it will rock the NFT space as well. The thing is that I won't spoil marketing thunder, but the thing is that a cross-chain tool that's end-to-end that allows people to set up websites, marketplaces, launch collections. Of course, it's a missing piece. And ironically, when we sat down and identified that some time back, we thought it would be, as everything that you do in this space, you think it would be easier than it is. And also, we also are victims of the same thing, which is a lot of people say that tech is further progressed than it is. So no one's doing that. So we had to sort of go and source the people that could actually help aggregate, build the aggregation layers and do all of that. But I agree. I think personally speaking, and, it's not what you probably want to hear, but it's the truth. I think personally speaking, it will gain traction over time. I think it will take a good 3 to 6 months before it's like really rocking. And the reason that is because NFTs are going through a cycle at the moment, tokens are not. And I think with Coinbase NFT launching, they've got some huge partnerships coming up. There'll be a massive, massive flood of people coming into the NFT space. So what we think at the moment, we say, oh, it's saturated. There's too many launches every day. There's too many NFTs out in the market. The thing is that there is, because they're only catering to a very small audience. And as I've quoted before, I think the last published count for OpenSea was 600,000 active users or registered users, and Coinbase, this is weeks ago now, so I don't know what the latest number is, had already had 2.6 million registered users sign up for it, for the NFT section. So I think we feel as though it's really saturated because there's so few people in the space. And if you go in, and I'm sure it's happened to all of you guys, if you go in and buy an NFT off OpenSea, I've had so many times where I've seen the same address buying from me, or I'm buying from the same address, and I think to myself, wow, this is a very small pool we're swimming in. I can't wait to see what it does when it gets on the open road. But even if it's used heavily now, I still don't think we're going to see what it's going to potentially do until that real flood comes in and you see massive projects. But we talk to projects every day and they all say the same thing: hold our hand, we don't know what to do. How do we get in? We have to have a Web 3.0, a metaverse strategy. So allowing them to be able to go in and do that for themselves is massive. It's ginormous. And not end of February, Adelaide. Not end of February. What can I say, Piyush?
I mean, let me answer it this way. It's much closer than you would believe. And one of the things that we are trying to do is to include our community in taking some decisions on the platform. So what we are about to announce is going to actually, I don't want to use the term voting because that's not really the correct term, but we are instituting a mechanism of sorts wherein you'll know in the next X number of time when this is announced, but we are essentially instituting a way wherein you get to be a part of taking some initial decisions for us on this platform. So, Benny, much sooner than I can say.
Samsung released a trailer. It looks like the Vault. Any crumbs you can leave for us? Oh man, even Gucci came out. Was it yesterday, and said that they're going to do a metaverse space, and they're calling it the Vault. It's a whole lot of people flooding in. So what's really important right now is that we put that stake in the ground. But as far as any breadcrumbs or whatever, we definitely build to be fully interoperable. But all I can say is that we will that what we're through now. So that the revamp that we're going through, I think, will distinguish us and really set us apart. Actually, I will touch on that while we've got you. People had sort of said what's happening. So a lot of people were saying, getting angsty and all the rest of it. So I've got a couple of things to say. First of all, for those of you who haven't watched the AMA or haven't seen the announcements lately, I'm going to sit in the chair as running the Vault from this day forth. So, and that's due to the fact that it's an extremely important part of the business and it's becoming a very core piece because everything plugs into the Vault. And what we want to do is capitalize on the opportunity that we've got. And because I've had the virtue of speaking to the customer base of clients coming in for the last, year and a half, 2 years, where we're at the build cycle, it's extremely important that we have the knowledge of both sides helping to guide the build. And as a result of that, a couple of changes will happen. So the first thing that we've done is we've made it so that shop owners, we've started to allow people to go and have a walk around. It's going to change dramatically from where we are at the moment, but we want to go through a process of radical transparency, show people where we're at, and it's much attuned to what you would have thought by early looks, but just much more fleshed out and developed. But what we want to show you is how much we're just going to take this up 10 levels, because this has now been validated as a massive movement, and we want to capitalize on that opportunity hugely. The other thing, for those of you who have been on these calls for a long time, you'll remember back in the early days before we even launched KOGs, we used to get on and do regular calls, give you updates, sneak peeks, giveaways, all the rest of it. So some of you will be pleased to hear that as of next week, I'll jump on Mondays, still do this call on a Wednesday, which will be more general, overarching, and on Fridays, so 3 times a week. And the Monday and Friday will be sneak peeks, what's coming up in the Vault and the things that plug in, giveaways, competitions, and back to that, back to how we were in the very beginning. The Vault is a core part of RFOX. Do you think we could get it put front and center on the Discord? Yeah, so Mr. Flair, as it unravels, it should certainly, for sure and certain. And you're right, it is an integral part. I often explain it as the power board where all the plugs plug into, and yeah, it just needs a lot of. So I'm going to dish off a lot of tasks so that I can just be in there in that seat driving that nonstop. It really needs a lot of attention to make sure that we can capitalize on this, on what is coming, because if you saw what we saw as far as attention of brands and the fact that they're not sure what to do and needing help with strategies, and how many of them are now doing it. I mean, you've even got down to Walmarts, and as you've seen in the news, every single business in every single sector of the world has Web 3.0 on their radar. How will NFT platform benefit the RFOX token? That's a good question. So, so the NFT platform will do a couple of things. So this is giving away a lot of information, but the NFT platform will act as a standalone product for individual users, of course, as far as creators are concerned. But as soon as we have a few projects going concurrently and the volume is suffice, we will be able to do things like, for example, say we've launched our marketplace. So we've got a rival to OpenSea. What we then can do is things like abolish trading fees, and how we can actually draw people in and have it benefit the RFOX token is, you'd say, for example, some of the projects that we're looking at working and sponsoring and working with, we might say, instead of doing a 6% creators fee, do an 8% creators fee or whatever. A lot of them do 10 now, but there's no transaction trading fee. So what would happen is 6% goes to the creators, for example, and 2% is going to buying RFOX and distributing RFOX as a form of a rebate. So 2% cashback. So not only do you not pay any transaction fee, you'd also get a cashback or a rebate. So that's just one way that it would get more people. So it doesn't matter whether they're paying with credit card, Ethereum, Solana, doesn't matter. People would be getting RFOX into their hands, into their wallets, and that means it's constant buy action for RFOX as well. But that's just one very small example. Wait till you see what we've got planned as far as when all these products start to be able to click together. With the revamp of the Vault, have timelines been pushed back, or are we still on track? Great to hear you're coming back to Monday and Friday AMA. Yes, so we are currently, like I told you, we're going to go through radical transparency. So we're going to show you what we're doing. The Vault will always be iteration after iteration. So what we're trying to do is tidy up the timeline on how things will flow, like what you get at first instance, second instance, third instance. And some of that, being very honest with you, we can't predict. We don't have a crystal ball. We might have a good idea of what we think is going to happen, but this technology moves so quickly that you have to leave yourself a little bit open. Now, let's pick on Sandbox because they've been around a long time. For a company like Sandbox to actually introduce VR and sort of become an actual metaverse, because what they have at the moment is a platform, not a metaverse, then they would have to actually do a huge structural code change, tons and tons of work to make that happen. And that's costly. It's a huge, huge imposition. And what we want to do is make sure that we don't paint ourselves into a corner as well. We want to make sure that we're open to how things work. And like, just for example, this is how quick things have moved. So we talked a few months ago about, we had people coming to us saying, we've got Unreal Engine games. Can we come into the Vault and plug our game in if you're Unity? And in the interim, and now we found out that doing what we're doing and the way we're doing it, we can 100% do that. So we not only open ourselves up to being agnostic from a chain perspective, we open ourselves up to being agnostic from a gaming perspective as well. So this opens up a lot of doors, and these types of things we'd sort of had posed or presented to us, and we'd sort of brush them off as pie in the sky type of things. Now, some of you might say, no, you have been able to do that for ages. But if you combine all of the things that we're doing, it's a much more tricky proposition. So to have confirmation that these types of things are possible, and I'm going to give you tons of sneak peeks on the AMAs as far as what lies ahead, possibilities, types of things that we're working on from partnership perspectives as well. One for you, Fadz. Sorry, I wasn't clear. I mean, the information around what the staking amounts are.
Right. I'll just cover a few questions here based on the updates we have last month in January. So we took a long look at our strategy for last year. We were putting a lot of focus onto SLAM and the challenges around it. In January, we huddled for a strategy session with the team to take a look at what's the best way to utilize the choobs and KOGs that we have in our ecosystem. And the focal point is to increase the secondary volume, which in fact actually affects a lot of different business models around us in terms of the KOGs that you hold. So one of the things we're looking at is doing a pivot in our business model for SLAM. It will still be free to play, play to earn. However, there will be requirements to enter arena where the real prizes are. So to get into the arena, you will need NFTs to be able to enter. Therefore, if you want to get onto the leaderboards or be able to earn RFOX and NFTs, you will need NFT KOGs. And that can be earned on a daily grind if you can manage to get those NFTs, you'll be able to enter arena and be able to compete for the NFTs and prizes. The other thing we looked at is also we are close to signing another game developer into our ecosystem. Those games that we release after Slam. So like we mentioned before, Slam was supposed to be a customer acquisition tool where it's an easy way for someone who has zero cash upfront to be able to start their NFT journey. However, the later games will require NFTs for you to be able to play them. This is already, I think, probably close to signing, I would say, in a couple of weeks with the developer. And all the games that we're releasing from now on require you to have those choobs to be able to play those games either as a character, a buff, or some form of utility case. And all of them are competitive games, either through leaderboards or PvP. The other thing we looked at was to see whether or not we could blend the KML product that we released last year as a trial or proof of concept and talk to potential partners in the NFT space to allow those people with KML KOGs or certain KOGs in our ecosystem, for example, RFOX2020, to be given whitelisting spots into min drops for those NFT projects, right? So the utility case will be blended in the game as well as out of the game as well. I think we should be able to show some potential use cases probably within a month or so, and be able to release at least a game at least within the next couple of months. But all that is focused on us making sure that there is active trading volume daily. So Adelaide, I know this is a point of concern for us for a very low secondary sales volume, but we've already have things in place that will address this concern that even we have, and we know that if the secondary volume goes up, means that the utility cases are being spread across not just in Slam but in different games as well.
Thank you, mate. Paul Briers or Briers, I don't know how you pronounce that, asked earlier but thought I would run by the team. Quite nervous about my RFOX investment, if I can outline why. Reading comments from the last few days, there appears to be core long-term and uneasiness products promised have not been released, and then products are released, then no utility follows. So first of all, like I just said, we're going to go through some radical transparency. We're already releasing some of the stuff to people. We've got products dropping left, right, and centre. I think this is indicative and typical of market conditions, and we've got hand on heart. We need to make sure that we've been more communicative, open, and that's what we're taking steps to address. Invested recently on Paul Barron, negativity in the Discord and Twitter. Yeah, look, as stated, it's pretty much been covered in the last few things. We've got a full marketing complement and team now. They're working on those types of things as far as influencers. We've always, as people know, stayed away from paying shillers to talk about us. We try and earn people's respect, but we're trying to balance that now going forwards, especially now that we've got products. But it's also when you're doing heavy marketing or a lot of marketing before you've got products out, it's all based on hype, and we don't really like to play that game as far as spending squillions of dollars of development money on paying someone to talk about something that they'll just say whatever you put a script in front of them to say. But yeah, as far as like Discord comments and stuff like that, putting or making you nervous or whatever, there's not much I can really say about that. As far as, like I say, we've got a pretty clear mandate on what we have to do from our side. We have to be responsible for making sure that we're clear and transparent. But again, I've made this comment many times before. If I like a project and I invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in it or whatever, I would never ever either be swayed into or out of an investment by reading a Discord channel. It's just different mindsets, I think. Again, in looking to see how great the RFOX metaverse will be, there's no recent examples of this metaverse. Again, just to explain that we're starting to show people through there. You spent more on a dessert at dinner and you threw it away. You spend too much on dessert. Who is pursuing the partnerships for the whole ecosystem, each department head for each venture? Depends on what they are. So yes, that is the case, but we've also got partnerships that come in through the main partnership channel. So a lot of those have come through my network as well. So I've been talking to a lot of these people, but we've been bringing on other people to help with that. And now that, before, when it was conceptual stages, we had to try and work out what we could do with people and how we could arrange those partnerships. But so it was trickier to navigate. But now that we're closer and we've got products that we can actually show them and give people demos, it's a lot easier. So now we're just polishing up literature and decks that give people much more information, and we're getting close to then starting to implement the developer documents for people being able to onboard. So the partnerships will reside at the local venture level, yes. Will the Vault be an app on phone? Yeah. So the Vault will be both app and also for Oculus as well. It'll be both. And we know full well that in the beginning, it will be much more heavily used by app users. And then as the sort of cost of acquisition for headsets becomes more affordable, especially in this region of the world, you'll see more and more people jumping on. But we're actually talking about this in depth today, and we believe, based on our customer experience history, that we believe that one customer will act in two different ways, because a customer on their handset may be doing completely different things to what they're doing on their headset. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see that customer segmentation. There's lots of businesses that are already in that situation, and the data's not really clear for what we're going to do. So very interesting to see how that plays out.
By all predictions, Slam will have 500 users by end of 2021. So we all know how delayed Slam was with the product being rolled out, as well as the issues that we faced with the app stores, right? So again, I make no excuses in terms of not being able to deliver the product out last year because of all these challenges. But this year, I think the numbers will be a lot more practical, given that we have multiple products coming out on the mobile game side, as well as other partnerships we're putting into place. So we don't look at Slam as just a acquisition channel for our game. It should be other games as well. As for predictions in terms of the numbers, we will be able to share them maybe later, but I don't think it will be an issue for us to get to those numbers quickly once the second and third game comes out, which I believe should be done before the mid of the year. The focal point for us is no longer just looking at Slam as the primary product for these kinds of activities when we acquire users or teach them how to do play to earn and NFTs. It will be across multiple products, across different genres as well. So over the past 3 weeks, we've had quite a lot of discussions. Phil has reached out to his network of developers that he's worked with before or have known throughout his career, and we've had quite a bit of realizations around how game developers perceive NFTs and crypto, right? So the missing gap is that they don't understand NFTs and crypto, which we do, but they understand game development as well as managing all these issues with the stores, as well as making sure that the onboarding process was as smooth as possible. So going back to your original question, when we said we wanted to have 500,000 users, we did not foresee this kind of problems put into place, especially with the stores. But since we have a bit more exposure to other developers who have better ways of dealing with this kind of concerns, we should be able to get to those numbers quickly.
Benny, have you been disappointed with progress of the Vault development today? Is the project now behind schedule? So disappointed. I'm always wanting everything to be finished yesterday, of course, but I'm really, really, really glad that we've got now a large internal team developing, as well as also additional external contractors that are looking at what we're doing, saying, you know, you've got an opportunity to take the lead in the market, you've got an opportunity to set the standard. And so it's a balancing act of making sure that you're producing something and getting something to market, which is exactly why I've said the radical transparency, and we've started opening up the doors to let some people in and have a look. And I think that that what we will produce compared to where we're at this particular point in time will be light years of difference. And like I said earlier, there'll be multiple iterations. Each iteration will have more features, more benefits, more upgrades. So this will be a work in progress for a long, long time. And I mean, you look at Facebook and some of the others, they've got a 5-year plan to sort of get their MVPs out. So I think by that time we'll have very heavily progressed product with tons of users, and we've just got to we understand that it's a space race. We've got to move quickly. We've got to get an audience. We've got to secure an audience and get them engaged. And I think that with the partnerships that we're working on and the type of customers coming in as well, that's very, very possible. So as far as disappointed is concerned, it depends how you use the term of the word. I would always like everything, as I said yesterday or the day before, but ultimately that's not how the world works. And ultimately, we've done a lot of learning along the way, and there's not a lot of people to learn from, to be honest, because a lot of what we call or think of metaverses in this space are not metaverses. So there's been little to no reference points, and so we've sort of had to learn as we go. But ultimately, we're much better for the experience. Really enjoyed the calls. That's good. Pete, okay. Yeah, Chinese New Year, mate. So this week, a lot of the regions off. Actually, most of the regions off. No, Lars. Chinese New Year in this, tech's a pretty big thing in this part of the world. Massive. Yeah, I think Artes, you're saying that if the Vault is going to be a more crucial part of the RFOX ecosystem, VFOX is looking more tasty. I think one of the things I'll talk about in the Discord calls when we go through what's coming, as you know, lots of people, you would imagine lots of people come to you and also ask if you can help them build worlds or build something for them. And we've come up with a really, really great model that would mean that 100% benefits every time we do anything for somebody else. It benefits both RFOX and VFOX holders. So I'm very happy to and keen to explain that to you guys in depth. Yes, that's correct, Lars. I believe, Piyush, you might know better than me. I believe that the first couple of people have already had a look-see.
They have, and we're actually going to wait till tomorrow to make an announcement, but we're hoping to also release a look of what is it that they can see inside and show it from their perspective.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so the feedback so far has been really good from the views. But again, like I say, the way I see it is if you look at where it's going and what's coming up with technology, what's coming up with the integration of our products and all the rest of it, that anything of an MVP at these types of stages of the tech side of things, when we look back, doesn't matter whose metaverse it is, we're gonna look back at it as like concept art and hangout places than we are an actual metaverse. So really, really excited for this. Will the Vault be accessible to? Yes, mobile. Yes. Yeah, correct. Adelaide, I'm the same. I thought it was just because I must be getting a bit older or something, but my son made me play that game. I forget what it's called. Not Pavlos. One of those games where you move around and you catch discs like Tron floating through the air, and I literally threw up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But things like the Vault stuff are a lot less heavy on your eyeballs and your head, and I think it's much more manageable. So getting into Arena is no longer a tube requirement. So that used to be the only way, which is why I put a ton of time and money into tubes.
That's I think you misunderstand. Urban, I said arena, not tournaments. So arena requires you to have a tube, just like in tournaments as well. I think you misunderstood me.
Oh yeah, someone's addressed that straight underneath. Yep.
Speaking of arena, searching for an opponent of arena can take a very long time. So geographically, majority of the users are based in Southeast Asia at this. So during the times of during about 12 noon to about 7 or 8 p.m. our time is when we get the most amount of people in the arena. So we just launched our leaderboard challenge. So you should be able to see quite a bit of people coming in as well. The leaderboards will reflect those active players coming in. And since we are targeting for open beta this region, you should be able to see more players at this time zone. It's unfortunate that we cannot accommodate the rest of the world right now when we're doing marketing specifically. But if you want to get into games, this is the best time to do it around this time.
Geez, we've fallen a bit behind the 8 ball as well, haven't we? I'll try and skim through a little bit faster. When do you predict the Vault, at least Callinova, to be able to host visitors in the numbers of 100,000 plus? I think that if you look at the space and how many people are going into what other people are calling metaverses in this space, those types of audience sizes are more likely to be specific to events at this particular point in time. So I'm quite comfortable based on the talks that we've had that the technology that we would use can infinitely scale, and by the time we do have 100,000 plus, we would be able to accommodate that. It'll be interesting to see because, Lars, the way it will work is there'll be effectively instances. So some people might be, I'll talk about this on the longer calls, on the Discord calls, but some people might be able to see or view a different instance, almost like a parallel universe, depending on what it is they're there to do, which is quite exciting. I'll explain that to you in depth when we've got more time. How will harassment of any kind be dealt with in the Vault? This is going of an article where someone claimed they were sexually assaulted. They were sexually assaulted in what? In a VR world or something like that? Yeah, it's something that we've talked about a lot, and we'll keep you posted on that when we go through some of the rules and conditions. But we're also talking to quartermasters about what they're responsible or in charge of as well, as far as conduct is concerned. And of course, when you've got brands and shops and businesses coming in there, any untoward behavior becomes a concern. So we also, hand on heart, we spend a lot of money on legal and getting advice on how to deal with all of that stuff. So we'll make sure that those terms, conditions, and the rules are very, very clearly stated. How is VOIDCyber progressing? What do they have in the oven? Tons of stuff, KB76. It's actually quite ridiculous. The whole space in general is blowing up. So they're a great pipeline feeder for us as well. And they are continually talking to big companies. The companies that we're talking to and they're talking to in parallel are getting bigger and bigger. And that's not just because, it's not because of any one thing other than the fact that more and more big companies and brands are becoming interested in space and having a strategy. Yes. Benny, this is a project that starts with the end in mind, as has been mentioned by you and the team before. This is great. So with this said, has even one utility case for RFOX 2020 KOGs been set in stone? Yes. When will you share this with the holders? Soon. If you start with the end in mind, mate, you can't not have a plan for something, right? That makes no sense. You can't have both of those things go together. Reading your comments, I have the impression that KOGs is a flop, if someone can enlighten me. KOGs is well, sorry, Fadz.
Yeah, so the issue that we're facing right now is that everybody is waiting for a utility case for them to be able to use those KOGs. And we have rolled out one utility case which to be able to see them in the game. So to be honest, most of you are asking, how can I get rich with the KOGs that I bought back in the day, right? So we are addressing all these kind of issues and concerns with the strategy we put into place this year. I know a lot of the holders basically have been holding on to either certain KOGs or certain cubes, but in general, our strategy is mass market adoption. So definitely, when you are going to bring in a large amount of people in and you need cubes, those KOGs that you hold basically will be bought out by people who actually want to get into different games or different features within those games itself. So if we were to take a look at what we've done so far since last year, which is essentially build the company around an existing NFT collection and start rolling out games to make use of those NFTs, it has been challenging, especially with a team that is pretty lean. But this year, I think we finished our budget and strategy session a couple of weeks ago, and our budget has been approved by management. So for us to be able to deliver it, I think it will be a lot faster. It was a learning phase for quite a bit of our, I don't think just our team, but for the entire company. But I'm pretty sure this year, I think we should be able to get those utility cases out, products out, grow the user base to something that is significant enough for us to get as visible as possible and satisfy the concerns of the existing holders.
There's a conversation ensuing after that point on harassment and stuff. I'll skip over that one because I can't comment. I'm not familiar with the situation. Thanks for your answer, Vinny. Just one more question. Will now MVP Vault not be first quarter as promised? So as stated, we're actually already starting to let people in and then progressing. So we're working on, that's why I'm doing Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays calls. So I'll be able to walk you through and be radically transparent on what features are dropping, what's being added, what we're working on, and give you really, really clear clarity on exactly where we're at and what we're doing. But ultimately, like I said, if we wanted to turn what we had on now, that's why we're showing the shop owners and all the rest of it. We believe we can, and that's why I want to talk people through that in depth. We could make some really amazing upgrades, and yeah, I'd rather let the pictures and the visuals speak for themselves on where this is headed. More of that same stuff. I'll clear of that. LooksRare storming onto the scene, affecting your approach to releasing an NFT marketplace. Are there things you're learning from them, like what to do and what not to do? So Hanford, yeah, one of the things that I think you can definitely say with LooksRare is LooksRare had a really cool plan, and the difference that they sort of had between them and OpenSea is they obviously had a token, and they are able to use that token to reward their traders. But they also had this really weird plan that they put in place, which was a genius move, but is controversial, and that is any collection that doesn't have a fee to the author, you know, they've been incentivized heavily to trade those. So what you'll see is if you go onto Icy Tools or something and you have a look at the hourly trading volume, Metacastles or whatever it's called, and MeBits and all the rest of it, they have hours of $40 and $50 million traded. So what happens is they're actually just buying the most expensive ones from themselves to each other's account. Now they pay the 2% transaction fee, but the rewards or incentives for the trading is far higher than the 2%. So why it's a genius move from their perspective is businesses are valued on the revenue, right? The top line. So they've got top line revenue that would inevitably, if they're doing $50 million an hour on some collections, they'd be spanking OpenSea's volume, but it's not real. It's not real volume. So there are very big pros and cons to that for sure and certain. But the way they'd approached it, the way they marketed it, the way they rewarded users for trading on it is massive. I'd be interested to ask you guys, how many of you have actually switched across to LooksRare that were using OpenSea before? Because, for example, I was an OpenSea user. I still use OpenSea. I don't use LooksRare. I've used it 2 or 3 times. I don't know. I'm a creature of habit and loyalty. So what kind of timeline are we looking for this second game? How long before we get some spoilers or at least a few breadcrumbs regarding what style of game it is, etc.?
So we will try to push to get the contract signed with the developer by probably in a couple of weeks. It's already firmed up or formed up based on the structure that we want to work on, how we work with developers. So this will be our first partner outside of our internal development team. we should be able to release the PR before end of the month. And that PR will share with you the genre of the game, the utility of the tubes, and what's the business model for it. Pivoting strategy for Slam. Can you please share how tournaments will work post distribution of Slam strategy? So, Grego, we've looked at how the app actually initiates signature and transfers with the blockchain within the app itself, and it has been very clunky from the start, simply because of all the requirements that we need to put into place for wallet transfers. So one of the things that we discussed was, what if instead of having a staking window for like 90 days and all those kind of stuff that we used to do, why not do a perpetual staking window where if you enter a tournament and the grand prize is like, I don't know, 50,000 RFOX or stuff like that, and the entry fee is like 10 RFOX, everyone that goes into the tournament basically will pay into the prize pool as well as pay out into the staking pool as well. So that means that you have a choice of staking those tubes or using them in the game to enter those tournaments. If you don't want to enter the tournament, just put them into the staking pool. And every time there's a tournament and every time somebody pays a certain amount to enter those tournaments, you get a cut from it. So it becomes like a perpetual staking pool that pays out monthly instead of after 90 days. That's one of the pivoting strategies that we're putting into place. So all this is not set in stone yet, but it seems to be a lot easier to implement because everybody's used to staking. And us trying to pull off putting renting into the game will cause us a lot of issues further down the road, especially if we start interacting with blockchain and NFTs within the app that Google might not like, right? So what can happen is that if we announce a tournament and a grand prize with all the RFOX and NFTs to be given away, people who enter will basically be using RFOX to pay to enter those tournaments, and then a certain cut would go into the staking pool. So I think it's a lot easier to do staking that way, and you don't have to wait for a staking window anymore, right? Depending on the type of tournament and what kind of structure we do, we can just leave your tubes there and then you just collect passive income.
As far as KOGs is concerned, we've always tried to look after our users and give back as much as we possibly can. With the introduction of some of these other products and services, the utility case widens beyond just playing a game or playing a set of games as well. So this is there's lots to look forward to as far as that's concerned. Has any company expressed interest for renting the VALT shops? Yes, George, 74 lots. But the thing is that, and I've paired some up with owners, but the thing is that when they sort of see how cheap they are, they look to buy them. They want to buy them. In actual fact, I think that for those of you who follow, I know we've talked about Fluff a few times, and you guys, the community, have brought that up quite a few times. Fluff did a Burrows drop of these little VR instances, and we had several people as a result reach out that we know that have networks that have sort of said, you can get a shop in the metaverse space in very low supply, because you're talking, 10,000 Burrows for Fluffs at roughly the same price as one of these things that's 500, and this is just some sort of instance that's not necessarily at this stage interconnected. So that's probably sparked a bit more interest as well. So we've got a couple of people that are trying to work out whether to buy off of the market or whether to wait till next land sale. But we keep getting the same repeated stuff over and over again, which was the same thing before last sale, same thing before the one before, which was, can we just buy one now at a set price? Is what people ask. Some people don't want to go through an auction process. But we're also speaking to much more traditional non-crypto companies that, depending on where they're located, can't touch crypto in any way, shape or form, which is not a problem for us. It works. That's what's playing into our favour, because some of the other platforms actually force you to use their native token at the top level, which means they can't work with those companies. So once they also work out that there's only 100 shops for sale that's when the conversation deviates to, what if we wanted you to build out a separate world or island or instance for us? And it's something that we've heard more and more and more and more. Now we've worked out a way that it can feed traffic into and through the vault, but also add as transactions and volumes for RFOX holders as well as also VFOX. So those ideas are sort of in technical planning stages as well now. So this thing's going to get a lot bigger and quickly, and it's just due to the general momentum of the space as well. But going down the agnostic route and going down the not forcing people to, allowing people to use the currencies of their choice or whatever's in their pocket has ended up turning out at this particular point in time to be a good decision for us. Given the current circumstances with COVID affecting travel, I know for a fact that there are issues involving around Cambodian students finding it hard to carry on their English studies, as the idea of... Yeah, so that was one of our first things that we put through our 9-point funnel system, and it came out as a winner. I was also the CEO of a group of schools here in Vietnam years back that cater to the really rich Vietnamese people learning English from English people that are flowing in. And one of the logistical challenges was, how do you get to the people in the provinces or the outer areas? Because foreigners from England or whatever, especially at the age group that they're sort of targeted for teaching, aren't going to move to some remote location that doesn't have balls, good internet, in a foreign country that has very poor English. So it was always a logistical challenge. So that is something that we've looked at in depth and for a long, long period of time, and it's a topic we know very well. So our focus at the moment is making sure that we've got these applications that we're building now in the platform out. And as I will spoil on the Discord calls, we've also got what comes next pretty well, starting to formulate a plan on that, as well as far as brand launching and businesses. So we've also got companies that are coming to us wanting to form businesses to launch through the metaverse. And as I said in the Paul Barron interview, I firmly believe that businesses that are launching in the vault will end up becoming acquisition targets for companies in traditional Web 2.0 space that are looking to break into the metaverse space. What they're looking for is to purchase companies. Doesn't even matter if it's in a slightly different vertical, that have the expertise, have the knowledge, have the skill, and have the ability to work in this space. So I really want to make sure that shops and people and creators that are working through and building in the vault, I'd love for them to become acquisition targets. Some people might not want to, but it's always good to know that if you're in there, that people are looking at you as a pathway into this space. And that, what a tremendous story that will be for some of the shop owners to be able to say, you know, I sold my shop to a Nike or an Adidas or a Reebok, or one of these big brands coming into the space. That's my dream and hope anyway. What's the time frame for the Music Quarter auction now? So Ninja, that's actually I don't think it's, so we were getting ready for making sure that we were ready so that the timing situation was right. But like I said, I'm going to start showing people what we've got, where we're at, and where we can go, and what we are actually working on now. And I think that you'll find that as far as we're concerned, what we want to do is make sure that these products are dropped, and that we're providing value back and giving extra value to holders and the shop owners and stuff like that. So ultimately we'll do that when it's when a few more things have dropped and pieces have fallen together. So what was a situation we were getting ready and getting ready to put the foot down and go. When I start explaining and showing you what's being worked on now, I think that we can actually go from getting things into people's hands, giving people a look at what there is out there and what we're doing, and I think we can really properly get a lot of traction by the time the Music Quarter comes up. So it's going to be a timing thing based on when these things drop and how we're going, because if we show you the sneak peeks and the spoilers of what we've got coming up in the designs for Music Quarter, I think it's just next level. It's just so much better than what we've currently got, and now we're going back over and making sure that we upgrade what we've got before we release that.
think we have time for last few more questions.
I think we need to have content creators that do short 10 to 15 second hype inducer videos to drop teasers as we progress to roll out products. And it needs to be frequent like every other day. People's attention spans are shit. Nobody reads articles. We need to flash. Yeah, so Josh, one of the things that I think about a lot, and I know that some of the team do as well, is the fact that it's not only that, it's that people are invested in so many different projects. And if you look at the NFT space in particular, the NFT space is a far greater vehicle for adoption than tokens have been in the past, right? I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying that in the past, tokens were a harder slog, more technical requirements. NFTs, I can see what I've got. It's very visible and understandable. Now, the path that NFTs have gone down is, shit, no one's buying the NFTs, so we just got to give people companion drops, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do that. But then projects that have come in are getting better and better at building communities. But the thing is, if you're not watching the social channels of those projects, like every single freaking day, you can miss a drop or token releases or staking or, you know, I mean, there's like a dead friends snapshot today and Peaceful Groupies token. And there's like, I looked at the list this morning and there's like 28 different events happening today. And I was thinking, Jesus, how does anyone ever get any work done? If we can somehow put all of what we're doing together and help to automate that process so that people don't miss out on stuff, that's also very important. So streamlining communications and then also making sure that you don't have to check up every day. I think this whole idea of if you weren't checking the socials on that day, you missed out, stiff shit, we're selling your what you should have got for being an investor to somebody else. I think that's just a really, like, it's probably pretty anti the whole space and the movement, and very, very money grubby type of way to deal with stuff. So if we've got a couple of ideas that we're working on to work on how to make sure that people don't miss out on stuff. But you're right. We've talked about it a number of times, like you know, for example, different presenting. We had Piyush do a Friday's session and update, and if I'm doing Discords and I'm more engaged as far as those social channels are concerned, I think it's important to have, like you say, influencers and also other people talking about products and services from different angles as well. Yeah, for sure, madam. It's a very big business for sure, and certain having a VR classroom. Yeah, and we've seen this happen, right? Like, it's not like before. It was very much a hypothetical question of the online. We knew rough numbers. It's a pretty developed industry, but now that COVID's happened and all the schools shut down in this region, and you had to go online, and some of them are still online now, with no view of going back at any time soon. And some of them have started to implement VR sessions, and it is taking off like wildfire. I mean, the kids don't want to go back to physical school, so I think this is a huge industry that's going to burgeon from this. I know you are, Adelaide. That's why we love you. But the fact is, you are here every week, right? And the reason that you are here every week is because you believe. And the thing is that we have an obligation to make sure that we're looking after our early investors. And I think the thing is that we're here every week as well. We don't hide from things. We don't shy away from things. The thing is, what we're building is truly amazing, and these pieces take longer than all of us would like sometimes. But ultimately, the end goal is to make sure that everybody that got in early and everybody that found us early look back and say, Jesus, it was a bumpy ride and there was ups and downs, but look where we are now. And that end in mind approach and that rear view mirror, once we get there, none of us are stopping until that happens. Hope you don't get annoyed when I say this. The Discord comments from core members who have been here since the start, including BAs, has been that no hard and fast information is ever given. Through this call so far, we have been told that there will be Discord calls each week, but nothing else. The team have been asked several times, are we now looking at more delays? And the question has been sidestepped. How this project showed growth for sneak peeks will be the only thing for the community. Mate, I don't know if you've been listening to the call or not, but we've just explained to you that there's a product dropping any day right now that we're letting people in and to see these, to see the vault, and we're starting to progress that. We're opening up those communication channels. I'm not sure what else can be said.
Is RFOX Games helping with Harambe's RPG game? Not directly, but we have a call with Jai Turner coming up soon on how to collaborate with their ecosystem. So, as you know, they already have a store in our vault, and they actually want to look at a deeper partnership to interact with our ecosystem for KOGs as well. So once we have the details around that, we should be able to release. But they're extremely open to it. They think it's a good way for them to do marketing on both ends to their community and our community as well. And I think he's always been a fan of our NFT collection. So I think something good will come out of the discussions.
And Ninja, that's a good one. You've talked about much better to postpone the music sale to June, but then you wrote maybe even open the music quarter and have to auction inside the vault. So kind of that's what will happen in the sense that we're already looking at securing concerts in early second half of the year with we want to get, we're talking to a few, but we want to get a really, really big ticket player. So that is a definite possibility that you would be able to go to a concert in a quarter that hasn't necessarily sold yet. That's possible. It is possible. Good point, Betty. Had to cut down and also draw a hard line on new projects because it's too much to follow every one of them. And of course, some projects have weeks of silence, then an announcement of something with a 24 to 48 hour window. Oh my God, it drives me crazy, Ramses. I've done that so many times. I've watched a project every second day or whatever for months, and then I've thought nothing is happening here. I don't even know if they're still working on it. And then I've gone away for 3 days and come back and found that I've missed out on the drop that's, you know, worth tens of thousands of dollars, and you think, oh, screw this. So I'm a bit stroppy with that type of stuff. I actually I immediately sell. Also, there's another one I shouldn't name the name of it, but there's a project that just started up recently to try and deal with people not getting into whitelists. So part of their proposition, you probably know who it is to partner with everybody NFT project that comes out and award people whitelist spots, and that's your advantage for being a holder. But I thought, this is weird. I've got 2 whitelist spots, and when I go to activate them, they say your wallet's not registered or whatever. And then I went into the channels and found out it was happening to everybody. And I'm actually wondering whether or not they have any of the whitelists they say they have. So immediately I just sold it. I didn't worry about it. Oh yeah, we are out of time. Agree. People love TikTok, create short videos showing gameplay content. Yes, for sure, Lars. That's something we can definitely look into, and it's something we have looked into. We've spoken to a number of different influencers on different platforms, and Piyush and the team are hard at work on working out what the best strategy or platform for that is.
On that note, Benny, we are out of time. Let's take the last question and wrap it up.
Okay. Which one should we do? Here. This is a good one. Hi, Benny. On the AMA, you said that you're looking at investors coming in. Is this something RFOX is now open to having? Like we've said, we always listen to what people have to say. We always listen to the propositions that they have. We've never sold equity at this point, so we kind of think to ourselves, why bother? Unless someone can bring in huge value and open up networks for us and all the rest of it. But there's a new trend emerging that I'll talk about on a day we've got more time. And let's just say that a lot of the projects that you see pop up that have no faces behind them are actually other projects that already exist. But, you know, we stay away from all those shenanigans, and we try and make sure that we stay in our lane and do the right thing, even if it's a little bit slower, longer, or people get a bit more frustrated by it. But there's a lot of interesting shenanigans going on in the space at the moment that people wouldn't be aware of. But we would only look at taking investment if it really, really sort of, like, for example, if Sony came along and said, we want to invest in you, and we'll partner with you and give you some sort of amazing concert series that no one else in the world would have or whatever, then it's not really sort of, I look at it as the investment brings the partnership, as opposed to what the investment money would do for you, because we have enough runway to be able to finish what we need to do and to survive the next couple of years. So we don't have to worry about that. It's much more about what can that partnership bring. And Josh, last comment we'll just say as we say goodbye. Hey, Benny. Hey, Paul. As Benny has said, some shop owners have access to inside the vault. It's real, I promise. Of course, yes. I'm glad you got to have a play around, mate. And when I take you guys on a walk through there very shortly, I'll explain to you how certain aspects, and then I can actually physically show you and point to it and show you what's changing and how it's changing, and that gives you a much better indication of exactly the trajectory that we're on and what's going to change. I think it's safe to say that you will end up with a ton more value than you've invested, which is great, and that's exactly what we want to see. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining tonight. I know that there's the sentiment across the market is low, and also especially with us, because you want to see traction and you want to see stuff moving. And just to give you the heads up, when we do go out with a product like right now, you've got to also understand that the market is the market, and it's going to take time for us to get users and traction for anything that we push out. So no matter what we do, if you read comments, people will say, oh, they're delayed or they haven't released the products or whatever. And then you release the product and then people will say, why did you release when the market was down? Why didn't you wait till the market was up? Or why didn't the token price pump like 50% because you brought out a product? So the fact is, the negative side to this industry is I have to spend time prepping our team of people that might be new to crypto on why that type of thing would happen, because that doesn't happen in traditional companies. So you just need to understand that we are delivering, and you have a look at the products that we are delivering. Yes, we've been late, hugely late, and there's no excuse for that. We can't reference other projects and say, well, they're late too, because we're only responsible for what we do. But we are here, we wear it, we take full responsibility for it. And as I said, there is nothing more that we can do than to increase communication with you, increase transparency with you, show you exactly what it is that we're doing, exactly where we are in the process. And that way, if you decide at that time, you turn around and say, well, I don't like it, at least you're not liking it based on facts, based on what you can see, what you can feel, what you can touch, as opposed to having to guess why you don't like it or having to guess where it could be at. And that's something that we'll improve on to make sure that you've got all the facts to make a conscious decision on how invested you are in the project for the long term. But I'm sure that the majority of you, when you see what we're building and how we're building it, I think you'll see that it's worth every little bit of the way. All right, guys, thank you very, very much. Appreciate your questions and your time. If we've missed questions, we'll try and make sure that we address them in some other form. Have a fantastic evening, and I will see you next Monday for the first of the calls. Same time as this one.
Cheers, Benny. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.